Hey, this is Race,
And this is Amber.
and welcome to Amber watches Gurren Lagann for the first fucking time.
Yep, first time ever. I've never even seen a single episode, not even a clip from this show
I know
before.
she's like under a rock or something.
Yeah, I've only been, watching anime for like 25 years, and, it's understandable that some things might slip under my radar, especially when they're a little out of my range.
Yeah. So we both watched it. I had watched it before. I watched it subbed originally. I watched it dubbed. Same as her this time. Um, I've always said it's my favorite show since I watched it, and I still think that holds true. Well, I'll talk about that a little more later on how I feel about the show having watched it again, and I'll talk about like the recap movies that I watched in between those two viewings. Uh, but yeah, like this is my favorite show by my favorite director. It is like an inspiration for a lot of the other things I watch. Like it's my introduction to mechs as a genre. Really, like I guess technically I watched Code Geass first, but I
I
wasn't really in that for the mechs.
I barely consider Code Geass a mech show.
I mean,
Just barely.
it is very much a mech show, but it's not about the mechs the way Gurren Lagann is.
That's true.
Yeah, it's a show with a lot of mechs.
Yeah, like I said, it's barely a mech show. They exist, but they're irrelevant to the story.
I mean, they do spend a lot of the story fapping about the mechs.
That doesn't make them relevant.
True, but it makes it a big part of the show.
Disagree.
All right, that's not what this show's about.
All right. So, I like I said, I'd never seen this show before. Um, it keeps getting brought up as shows that people really love, but
Mhm.
honestly, mech shows tend to be a hard sell for me. I'm not into them. I never have been. I mean, there's a few shows that get an extra special pass, like Evangelion,
Yeah.
but for the most part, if it's a show about mechs, I'm probably not going to be interested. So,
So, like, you mentioned Evangelion. Like, it's funny because I watched Gurren Lagann far before I watched Evangelion. I watched Evangelion relatively recently. Um, what, like, was the show just not big enough? Like, Evangelion's huge. And the
I
show was just a little bit smaller, so it never crossed your radar proper? Or?
actually, it was more of a timing thing.
Mm-hmm.
It came out in what, 2007?
7.
So I actually wasn't watching a whole lot of anime at the time.
Yeah.
And so there were only a few shows that came out around that time that I watched uh, at at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of them I've just been catching up with.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, because I understand that was a great time for a lot of fantastic shows that came out. So this one just, because it wasn't in my normal genre, it just kind of got passed over.
I understand that. There's a bunch of shows I could probably list that I should go back and watch, but we'll talk about those more.
There's
later.
a list.
Yeah, there's lists within the genres I naturally watch too. So, you start watching. What were your initial impressions? Like up to like episode 7. Anyone that's watched the show will know what happens after that. But like I think non-spoiler territory. Episode 7's pretty safe.
Yeah, I think so. Um, I really had a hard time connecting with the show in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't really get what it was about, what it was gonna be about, and so it just had a hard time appealing to me. But I could say the same thing about Kill la Kill,
Yeah.
which took me a couple of episodes to get into. So in this case, it was kind of the same thing. It kind of went in the same pattern, where it took me a couple of episodes to really get into watching it. Once I was into watching it, then it was fantastic. Um, I had some trouble connecting with some of the characters right off the bat,
Mm-hmm.
although most of them grew on me over time.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that. Like, I actually attached to Kamina as a character pretty early on. I had a hard time with like Yoko and Simon. Like they were like Kamina was obviously driving the plot, so I was focused on him. I thought he was interesting, and like Yoko and Simon were being dragged by his coattails. Like
Yeah, Kamino was actually the one I had the hardest time connecting to, because
yeah,
Simon, I got what he was about. Yoko, I understood what her role in the story was.
Yeah.
Kamina, yeah, Kamina is. I later grew to appreciate his idea of manliness.
Yes.
But right off the bat,
Oh.
it's hard to swallow. Um,
Yeah, it came off a little harder in the dub. I felt than when I was watching the subtitle. In the subtitle, he definitely comes across strong. Like he always does. That's who he is. But
yeah, and I mean he's one of the characters who grew on me over time. But just right out the gate, I was just like, "What the fuck is this guy's deal?"
Yeah.
So once I was able to get past that, yeah. So once I was able to get past that, it was actually great.
Mm-hmm.
It was really exciting, and I loved seeing how it kept going in directions I did not expect, even up to episode 7.
Yeah, like going episode 6 in a bathhouse. That was actually a recap episode. Ha! Fooled ya.
Yeah, and I watched the whole damn thing.
Yeah. I skipped that on my rewatch because I was gonna watch it, then we didn't, and then yeah.
Yeah.
Ha! Ain't gonna get me to watch that recap. I joked about Fire Engine being the only thing that could ruin our audio. Hope y'all heard that.
Yep. We just had a fire engine.
We are not on fire. It's okay. Probably.
Alright,
So we talked a little bit about our initial impressions of the characters. From now on, we're gonna assume this is for people that have watched the show. I think we both can say, watch the damn show.
Yes,
it's
definitely.
that important. Like,
yeah.
Even if mechs aren't your thing, like it's an important show to watch at this point.
I think so. And I think we'll probably touch on this a little bit later about how I realized upon watching the show how many references in other shows I never caught.
Particularly in My Shoes Work.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Again, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the characters a little bit.
Yeah. So, first up, well, I think we should talk about Kamina before we talk about Sumo.
Okay,
because,
I think we can do
because
that.
Kamina's only like part of a whole 9 episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless you count the recap episode, but I don't.
He's not really in that episode.
The second recap episode.
Okay, yeah. So, Kamina, I had a really hard time connecting with him at first. He seemed very toxic. I think
he's very toxically masculine. Like that is his character archetype. Is that he is overly driven, overly ambitious, and like ultimately that's what gets him killed. It's his failing. It's his fatal flaw. But also that's the essence of it is the driving force of the entire show.
Well, yeah, because without that, nothing else would have happened. Even long after his death.
Yeah.
But I think that well, you're right in that that aspect of his personality is ultimately what got him killed, and I feel like that's the natural progression of that story that gets missed so often.
Yeah.
It gets skipped because so many shows and writers are unwilling to pull the trigger on their characters.
Yeah, and like
and so I appreciated that, and I don't want to say that the thing I liked best about Kamina is that he died, because that's not the case, but
I mean, Kamina's death is the first really strong point in the series.
Yeah, it's like this shit is real. Like this, like this just happened. Because it's not one of those shows where nobody ever dies, and
yeah, I was numb for like 3 episodes when I first watched it, much like Simon.
Yeah, well, it was halfway through the next episode was the point at which I turned to you and I was like, wait a minute, he really is dead, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because it took so long to hit me because it was just a thing that just happened.
Yeah, the way he dies is kind of crazy. Like the way he just he's part of the whole fight, and then he just gives up at the end and dies. Like,
Yeah, and usually, I mean, in most other shows, he would be, in traction for a while,
mm-hmm.
or he'd be, out for a while and then come back, and it took some time to realize that he's not coming back.
Yeah.
And so that was a pretty serious moment, and that was the first, I think, real moment I had with the show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, prior to that, it was mostly just kind of fun and games.
Yeah, totally, and that's where the tone of the show changes a little bit. It puts weight on the amount of action that they put into the show.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't think I have much else to say about Kamina.
Yeah, Kamina, like he's important at the end too. Like, you kind of realize that scene couldn't happen if he didn't die.
Yeah.
Like, he was there for them past his death. He was there for them forever.
Well, yeah, and I think there would have been a completely different show if he hadn't died.
Yeah, and they keep bringing him up. It's Kamina City. There's a giant statue of Kamina.
Yeah, and so, I mean, even though he's dead, he's definitely not out of the show at all. So Simone, I mean, because those two characters, they're a pair. They're the same person, pretty much.
Yeah, especially the second half, Simone just becomes Kamina.
And I liked him so much better.
Oh, in the second half?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because in the first half, he's a pretty typical protagonist.
Yeah, and, like, it takes until the scene with, where they escape from the armadillo general, for him to even start to think of himself as a leader, to start to think about being someone worth being the driving character in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Simone, especially in the second half. Like, in the first half, he was really whiny for a long time.
Well, he was typical protagonist.
Yeah.
He was Shinji before he got in the fucking robot. And he was just kind of going along with Kamina on everything. Yeah. And then he eventually had to become his own man because everyone was looking to him because he's the one in the fucking robot.
Yeah.
And I did appreciate the way that he was able to take charge over time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really like, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit more when we talk about about Rossio.
Yeah.
I didn't really appreciate the way he behaved during that part of the story.
I didn't appreciate the way anyone behaved in that part of the story because that was the worst part of the story.
That part of the story made no fucking sense.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about that part of the story as well.
Yeah.
On its own thing.
Well, yeah, and again, I'm sure it'll come up when we talk about Rossio.
Yeah. That's the core problem with Rossio is that arc, but, like,
yeah,
he has other
He
problems.
was problematic
so
from the beginning.
We'll talk about Rossio at the end. Like, his last character we want to talk about.
But Simone in the last few episodes was absolutely amazing. Yeah. He was brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really liked the scene where... I love the scene where it's, like, they're at, like, the end, they're leaving, and, like, Kamina is like, "You're taller than me." Yeah, it's this symbolism of how far he's come. It's like, that was a really great moment.
Yeah, and he has now become a man,
mm-hmm.
is what it is, and that was great. Drill and all.
Yeah.
Because there's no symbolism there at all.
Yeah,
in anything.
None.
So, to round out, I guess, the first, like, the three main characters, we have to talk about Yoko.
Yoko Littner, yeah.
I have some complicated feelings about Yoko.
I like Yoko as a character. I don't like Yoko as an object. It's too often that she's an object.
She, of all of the female characters in this show, she is the one who's most lovingly rendered.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
There is so much more attention paid to her body than there is of any other female character in the show, even Nia.
Mm-hmm.
And so she is very obviously the sexual force in the show.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it complicated.
Yeah, the problem with her being the sexual force in the show is she's never that more than literally. Like, she's never that symbolically. And, like, sex is a driving force in the show. Like, spiral power is reproduction and evolution. And, like, she's never represented in that way like the men are.
That's true.
Like, she's never represented as a, like, a like heavy spiral power character.
She's really not. I mean, and for all the amount that she's sexualized, she's never really put forward as a sexual being except for a couple of rather tender moments with a couple of characters.
Yeah.
Um, and Simone's, gaze in a few parts. But yet she is portrayed extremely sexually by the art, even when she's fully clothed.
And it becomes a bit in the show too. Like,
yeah, it kind of seems like it. Well, there's with the pig mole in her tits and everything.
Yeah, I do love the joke about where she has the bathing suit that's bigger than her regular clothing.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I laughed harder than I should have at that.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it everything feels so complicated about her.
Yeah, and I know like her first outfit is like always considered like her go-to.
It's the iconic.
It's her iconic, but like I like every other outfit, including the bathing suit, better.
I will say Miss Yomiko is fucking hot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the teacher outfit is the best one.
Yeah.
But trashy space milk. Yeah, space milf Yoko. Yeah.
The problem that I had with the outfit at the end, with her outfit at the end of the series, is how far the pants came down the crack of her ass.
Oh yeah.
That was the only real problem I had with the outfit because I was just expecting it at this point.
What about the lines that point to her vagina?
And yet she's not a sexual character except for being objectified.
Yeah.
Which is, it's weird.
She's a character to sell figures, is what it feels like a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I hate that. But...
I loved her personality, in as much as she got to have one. Even if that personality was just, the rough and tumble girl who won't take anyone's shit, which I really appreciated. Yeah. Compared,
it did bother me that she never got a chance to like put anyone in their place the way that the male characters did.
Yeah, because she seems like the type of person that would just haul off and punch someone.
Yeah, because like when she's in Gurren Lagann, for some reason she's worse than Rossio at it.
Yeah.
For no apparent reason. Like, she, by all means, she should be good at it. And they show her in Gunman later, and she's excellent at it. So, why...
Except for the one time where she wasn't.
Yeah, but...
So...
It's a weird thing where, like, she... It's only okay if she has a gun because she can press it and her tits jiggle.
Yeah. So, I feel like... So this was my main issue with the show, is that the show, I mean, and it stems down to mostly the characters, the show is overly masculine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff there that just, it kind of is a put-off for me. That being said, I did still enjoy it in that once I figured out that that's what the show was, I was cool with it. So, yeah, Yoko is complicated for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with those feelings on Yoko. The like cross to Yoko is Nia, who was the like innocent. You know, she's never like sexualized in the same way, aside from Tit Jiggle in the movie, but we didn't see that. So
yeah, well, yeah, and I mean, there's barely any attention paid to her body compared to Yoko's, and. I was not a fan of Nia's. I'm still really not.
Yeah, I like Nia more than you, but I never really cared about Nia. Like, she has a cool moment with her dad, and like...
Yeah.
But like, she's really... Yeah, she's very much the damsel in distress. She's very much a driving character.
Very much so. She has so little agency of her own.
Yeah, I actually liked her better as Anti-Spiral Nia.
Because at least she was doing something.
Yeah, because Anti-Spiral Nia actually had, like, thoughts.
Yeah,
Well, like, Nia's personality was kind of cute, like, the whole, like, learning everything, but a lot of times it was just, like, let's take 2 minutes for her to ask questions about every answer they give, you know? It's like...
Yeah,
Okay, whatever. We get it. Yeah.
and we see that's part of why she's a problematic character for me, because it's infantilizing her.
Hmm.
She is very much the sweet, innocent young girl who's going to need to be rescued by the men. And she doesn't get much development beyond that.
Yeah, and like,
Almost any attempt that they make to give her her own character is so tropey that it really fucking
I
bothers
mean,
me.
her best moment is in the large gnome fight, where like she's like, "I want to go with you, Simon. I want to see him face to face."
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the first part where I started to get a glimmer of, like, maybe there's something to this girl.
And
But then it just got
she
undone.
then she disappears in the next episode, basically.
Yeah. So I didn't really even get a chance to get to like her at all.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. It's like you just have to understand why Simon liked her as much as he did, and that's all that she exists for.
And that's because she was a cute girl who was willing to sit in his lap. I mean,
Yeah,
seriously. Especially right after, his.
I mean,
right after, right after what happened with Yoko and Kamina, and, she was basically the next girl he met.
Yeah, and she was one of the only characters that had a chance to actually get him out of his funk, too, which was a big driving force for why he cares so much about her.
True. She is an important character to the story. I just don't happen to care for her on a personal level all that much. I will say I like her character design.
Oh, her character design is the best.
I fucking love her hair.
Yeah.
You know,
I love the idea that they cut her hair just to save on budget. I will make that joke every time.
Hey, that shit's expensive, yo.
Yeah. Yeah. Her design is like, it is like tested and redesigned. Like they put a lot of time into that. I can guarantee it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like the old Gainax character designers and like a lot of them that work at Trigger now love that sort of thing. Like when they talk about it, they're like, "Yeah, we spent 2 years on designs for characters in Kill la Kill," and like,
yeah, and like a year and a half of that was just the main character.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I mean, yeah, I love Nia's design. I just wish she had a better personality.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Um,
So let's talk about a few of the side characters now. This one's kind of the potentially problematic character in Liron.
yeah, I was so put off by him at first.
Yeah.
Because of his voice and the way that he acted. He was the campy gay character, and I fucking hate those.
Yeah.
I mean, because I recognize that the show is 10 years old and that the world has changed a lot. And so I'm able to kind of overlook it a little bit, and I'm glad that I did, because it turns out Liron is probably my favorite character in the entire show.
Yeah, Liron's great. He's actually one of the better campy gay characters in all of anime.
Yeah, because he's a little campy. He's really flirtatious, but he doesn't really mean anything by it, and he never sexually assaults anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, the most he does is kind of rub up against some people.
Yeah, and he's just being flirtatious and friendly, but he's also more than that.
Yeah, that's the important part.
Yeah, is because he's a fucking brilliant scientist. And
yeah, he is like the smartest character in the whole show.
Oh yeah.
Like it's definitely not Rossio.
Oh god, no. Well, I wouldn't say he's necessarily the smartest character in the show. He's the smartest human in the show.
Fair.
Because I would argue the Spiral King is smarter, but he's also much older.
I mean, the Spiral King's not really that much smarter. He's just, he's just good at what he does.
He knows what he's talking about when it comes to Spiral Power stuff, is really all it is.
Yeah, well, he knows what he's talking about because he did it.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't necessarily, like, create any of that stuff.
I'm just thinking of a few moments toward the end where he's talking about stuff, and even Liron is like, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. But
the fact that everyone, when Spiral King is doing that, and everyone looks to Liron for an explanation, is the important part of that scene to me. It's like everyone recognizes that he's the smartest fucking person on the boat, and that he's the only one of them that even has a chance of understanding what this dude's talking about.
Yeah.
And so I fell in love with his character in that way.
Oh, totally. Yeah, Leron's one of my favorite characters. He did have a fantastic English voice. Steve Bloom behind him, like.
Oh well, yeah, Steve
Yeah,
Bloom is great. So
yeah, like, and he did a great job with a campy gay character.
yeah,
So I'd like to take a moment to talk about my favorite character, V-Roll.
yeah. Let's talk about Viral.
He uh initially, like, he was a cool character that, like, he comes out of nowhere and he's like this first big fight, and like he keeps coming up and it's like he starts to become a comic relief character eventually.
Because he keeps coming in only to get his ass beat.
Yeah, but like the first defeat that really mattered beside the first one was when he was with the Spiral King, and it's like, oh yeah, you're doomed to be defeated because you're not more powerful. You're just going to survive this.
Yeah.
And that's his whole. That sets him up for the second half so beautifully, where it's like he switches sides because his side stops existing. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Like, he decides, well, if this is the world I'm gonna live in, I'm gonna try and help humans. I'm going to, he's actually arrested for trying to help humans who want to stay underground.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's still like this aggressive character that, like, he attacks Simon when he gets the chance, but like he's still honorable about it. Like, he fought off the other guy to do it and everything. Like,
yeah. I think that he went along with it because he honestly realized that what was going on with Simon was far more interesting than whatever was going on with him.
Yeah. And I the first time I watched it especially, I was so excited when he got into Gurren.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. Especially after dealing with Rossiu in that cockpit for so long.
Oh god, Rossiu.
But yeah, Viral's actually the only character that in the original watching of it made me cry.
I get it. I do. I get it.
Yeah, I was pretty emotionally pent up by this point because of everything that was going on. But
Yeah.
When it flashes to him in the multiple different worlds, and it shows him with the kid, and he's like, "I guess I've been having a sappy dream too." I just started bawling, like, not like
because it was the one thing he couldn't have.
Yeah.
Just, oh my god. And to think that that's something that someone that, knowing that his species can't reproduce, that he would even think about one.
Yeah. Do you think he can now? He's been exposed to a lot of spiral
Uh,
power.
Probably not, but it would be kind of cool if he could.
I mean, he's the general of the spiral army.
That's true. That's saying something. That, someone without any spiral power can become the general of the spiral army.
He just pulled it off of Buddha. Yeah.
I did enjoy the moment when Buddha got in the cockpit with him and sat, like, in between his legs.
Yeah.
That was a very symbolic moment. Well, because Buddha had been in that same place with Kamina.
Yeah.
Where he was basically covering Kamina's crotch for, like, an entire episode. So there's definitely some symbolism at play there.
Yeah. I mean, and it's his new spiral dick. Because drills are a dick metaphor.
It's kind of hard not to see them that way. I mean, they're very obviously a penis metaphor.
If you want to argue that point, I suggest you look up the movie Dead Leaves, because there's a character with a drill for a penis, and it looks exactly like the core drill in Gurren Lagann. This is a movie that was made by the director and storyboard writer Hiroyuki Imaishi.
So yeah.
Yeah.
The drill is my penis.
So I think we want to finish up talking about specific characters by talking about Rossiu.
Yeah, Rossiu.
I fucking hate Rossiu. Like,
fuck that guy.
Like, he keeps, like, getting these, like, supposed to be redeeming moments, and I just don't care.
It all feels so hollow.
Yeah, it feels like, oh, we wrote this character to be bad so that we can get positioning. We gotta redeem him somehow.
Yeah, and when really, like, the way that they leaned into everything else, they should have just leaned into him being a bad guy. Like, really, he would have been a better character for it.
I mean, but his whole bad guy role was being the guy that thought he was doing the right thing.
And I get that. I do get that, but he's just so heavy-handed about it.
Yep.
Um,
Including like using Seymour. Like okay, let's start at the beginning with Rossio.
when he's a kid.
Yeah, yeah, because I didn't like him then. You know, he was like this. I'm caught in my ways, and then okay, he realizes his ways are wrong, and he goes with them, and he's still kind of caught in his ways.
Yeah,
He doesn't take the chance to learn from Team Gurren.
he never tries to grow as a person.
Mm-hmm. And then then I still don't understand the choice to put him in Gurren. I get that he didn't have a mech,
I
but that's
think
hardly
it
a
was
good justification.
lack of anyone else to do the job.
Old Coco would have done a better job.
That is probably true.
Yeah,
Or for that matter, Yoko.
but you know we see this where they try Yoko and it should have worked, but Yoko doesn't get to be in the mech
Because she doesn't have a penis.
apparently.
Um, I'm pretty sure is what that comes down to.
I mean, Beastman can pilot mechs.
That's true. We don't know that they don't have penises.
I mean, the lady ones don't. We assume.
True.
Mm.
Hyenas, man. Hyenas. Um, and yeah, I think it was just to keep him in the story, to give him something to do and make him seem relevant,
Yeah.
because they needed him later.
Well, it just leads to like the Spiral King fight. They have to break Gurren Lagann just to make the fight interesting because Rossio does not get to be part of that fight.
Yeah,
If he was actually part of the fight would be worse.
that's true. That's true. He would have, yeah, he definitely would have been a problem there. But the real problem with Rossio,
Is the second half where he becomes this political dictator, and all of his actions are obviously stupid and contrived.
yeah, if I hadn't have been committed to finishing this show, it would have lost me there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that I powered through it and ended up with, something awesome at the end,
Yeah,
but it was so hard to watch.
Yeah, I say that like that part of the show is like a 4 out of 10, but I give the show a 10 out of 10 because the ending is a 12.
But yeah, it just, everything he did made no fucking sense. And I don't know if it's that they didn't give enough time to the show to I don't know, develop an explanation or develop a reasoning.
I mean, because,
And it's not just Rossi that's the problem, but he is a catalyst.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the main problem, really.
I also had a problem with the way that literally everyone turned on Simo.
Yeah,
Like, even the general population.
that was stupid. Like
It was
the
straight up stupid.
like the general population sees him save them, and then it's like, "Fuck you! You accidentally hurt my building."
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know who else would have hurt the building?
The things that were shooting at us.
Yeah.
Like, I think that they were trying to express that people had become complacent in their lives
Yeah,
and
I
forgot what it was like to fight for everything
in 7 years.
in 7 fucking years. Like,
You know, like these are people on the street that were in the waves that died to Teplin. Like, yeah,
yeah, people who were fucking there turned on Simo
yeah,
for no fucking reason.
and I think the biggest scene to exemplify how stupid this whole thing was when he realizes that there's a enemy coming that will destroy the city if he doesn't use Gurren Lagann. And so he lets Simon out and he puts Kinon in Gurren with a bunch of bombs so that way he won't just go out in a blaze of glory. And then he does the fight, and then Rossiu just like, okay, dismantle Gurren Lagann and put him in a cell to wait for his death.
Yeah.
It's like, you think there's not going to be another one? They've been coming every like 4 hours.
Yeah,
It's like if in Evangelion Shinji was being a bitch, so they shot him in the head. You know, like.
Yeah, it's they're cutting off their nose to spite their face.
Yeah.
Because they needed Simone to be like, I don't know, a sacrificial goat.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't have that and have Gurren Lagann still exist.
Especially like the way the populace was like, who was cheering for Rossio after that.
Yeah.
That was special dumb.
It really was. Like, this
They-
dude
they-
just saved your fucking life.
They just watched the guy save
and
their
they're
lives,
just
and they're like,
giving him the finger.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck you, man. It's like, really?
yeah,
Really?
that whole section. I remembered hating that section when I first watched it, and I hate it again when I watched it now. It really is a low point for the series.
I do wonder if it wouldn't have been better if it had gotten like 1 or 2 more episodes to kind of.
I wish it got one. I wish it got 2 less episodes.
Fair, but I feel like
There's like 4 episodes dedicated to this bullshit.
But it seems like it's one of those things that, like, if I had read a book and then I watched a movie based on the book,
Mhm.
there are those moments that are in the book that just can't be portrayed well on screen, and I feel like this is one of them
Mhm.
because there's so much internal stuff that's going on inside the characters that we don't get to see. So I feel like with a little bit more time, if we'd been able to get into the heads of some of the characters, some of the decisions that they made might have made more sense.
Yeah, I just don't think anyone on the staff cared enough about the politics of this show to really flesh them out.
Yeah, and ultimately what it was a vehicle to get Simone into prison and Rossio into the position that he was in.
Yeah, it was a vehicle to like get Art Gurren where it was going and get Simone next to Vila.
Yeah, because Simone wouldn't have made those choices
Mhm.
as commander.
Yeah.
He wouldn't. He would have made different choices.
He would have made better choices.
Yes, but
Obviously better choices.
But it was a way. It was setting everyone up to get where they were going.
Mhm.
But they just did it in the worst fucking way. They could have done it so much better,
Yeah.
I think. So, and then, Rossio decides to go and be selfish and kill himself
Yeah.
because fuck me, I guess.
I mean, to be fair, like he had done his job. He had finished the relocation thing.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, I'm done here. I did what I did, and so he was atoning was his whole idea, and like because that's the kind of character he is. And like I actually don't mind that scene. That's one of the like adult Rossio scenes I actually liked. Was the whole.
I would have liked it if he put himself on trial. Because that's what he deserved.
Yeah, but he's shown that he doesn't know how trials work.
Yeah, definitely not. But yeah, he should have put himself on trial.
Yeah.
But I can understand why they didn't want any more political bullshit because they fucked it up so badly the first time around.
Yeah.
So let's stop talking about fucking Rossio.
Fuck Rossio. Like.
Although maybe we should talk about his magnificent chin.
Oh, the end chin?
Yeah.
Where he just like he just I think he ripped the chin off of the old village leader and just put it on himself.
It's like he's got like half of his face, like the nose and everything.
Yeah, he had some bad burns or something and just like skin grafted from that guy.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's all the specific characters we really wanted to talk about. Although shit, I'm having trouble remembering his name. The brother of the black siblings. Is it Keaton?
Keaton.
Yeah. Just shout out to Keaton for being fucking awesome.
Yeah, Keaton like really grew on me. Like in the first half, I didn't like him, but second half
he was a jackass in the first episode he was in. But
yeah, but like he really grew on me. Like I remember hating him when he was trying to take over Team Gurren. Like
yeah,
like
well, because like who the fuck is this guy? But
he had proved nothing at that point. Too,
yeah, but so. he more than made up for it later. So just a quick on that. All right, so the aesthetics of the show are fucking fantastic.
Yeah, this show is one of my favorite shows, visually and audibly. Like the music and the choreographing of that is beautiful. The timing for everything is fantastic. The art style really blows me away. Mm-hmm. A lot of like the sketchy lines and like the drawn out.
Oh, action. I love that.
Like I Lord Genome's one of my favorite characters aesthetically because he's always drawn with like just these like pencil lines.
Yeah,
all the time.
It's very
it's
frantic.
so cool.
He's literally humming with energy. Is what that says to me, and that's just wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And the moments when the other characters kind of get that same thing.
You notice when like every character dies, they fade into like pencil drawings and they fade out. Like that's a really like heart-wrenching aesthetic choice.
Yeah. Again, I really do enjoy the character designs for the most part. I realize Simon's kind of dull, but I think he is supposed to be.
I mean, yeah, he gets better in the second half. I think I like his second half design a lot.
Yeah, as he grows up.
Yeah, where he gets the big jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, and the giant nipples.
Yeah.
And I mean, he looks so much like Kamina. At that point, I think. I mean, he's supposed to, but that's what that's about. I talk about how much I love Mia's design. Yeah. Complicated feelings about Yoko. I mean, I don't hate her space pirate hussy costume. I really don't. And tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah. I called her Space MILF earlier, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't hate that design. I mean, it is iconic.
I
knew that.
There's a bunch of cool looking characters that don't get a ton of screen time too, like Leite.
Yeah.
The engineer.
Oh, I loved her design, but that's because she kind of looks like me. And I like mechanic girls.
Oh yeah.
I do. They're just so hot.
She's so underused.
And it's just so many of the characters are so unique, which was great to me.
I have a special place for transformation scenes too, like something about just like a music pitch and just like lots of color and motion like that goes with the transformation scene. I really like. I know a lot of people bitch about them because they're like canned animation, but a lot of the Gurren Lagann ones aren't because they do different things all the time.
Well, yeah, because it's a different.
Yeah.
It's a different scenario because every time the robot gets fucking bigger.
Yeah. My favorite joke about Gurren Lagann is that it's Gundam, except every time they say, "Who the hell do you think I am?" the mech gets bigger.
That's pretty accurate. Love it. Planet-sized.
Planet-sized.
Galaxy-sized.
I was gonna say, they're bigger than galaxies at the end.
I know. I thought like
in the movie it gets bigger.
Oh God. I thought like the moon.
Yeah.
The moon is a gunman, and I thought that was as high as it was gonna go, and I just nope.
Not even close.
Not even a little. The mech designs were really weird to me at first.
Yeah, they're very
like with all
stylized.
The faces and everything. I thought that was really strange.
The faces were an interesting design. Like I don't fully get it, but they work for the show, and they work for like the whole combining thing. It makes that an easy to understand element.
Yeah, and I think that's what that's what a lot of it is.
And the way they put the fucking faces on everything.
Oh yeah,
hilarious. I love the
iron at the
iron,
end. Yeah. The buildings.
Yeah.
And, but I think the mech that I actually enjoyed the design of the most was Keaton's.
Yeah, King Keaton's awesome.
Yeah, it was just so fucking perfect for him that I loved it. All the way up to the very end.
Yeah, I like the version that had all the black siblings too. Like that was pretty great for the Spiral King fight.
Yeah, that one was pretty awesome. And I did enjoy the mechs within mechs.
Yeah. The first time you see a mech in the cockpit of a bigger mech.
I was half expecting there to be like another mech, like another layer. Because that would just be perfect.
Yeah, this is when we see the little man inside of Simone. Like,
really, it's Buddha. Buddha is what's running everything. As I was pretty sure there toward the end.
Yeah.
that Buddha was secretly like the spiral nemesis or something.
Yeah. Yeah, Buddha is about to turn into a galaxy and crush them all.
Yeah.
The black hole.
Um. So, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about production stuff. Now, you know way more about this than I do.
Yeah, like there are some production waverings. Like episode 4 is the big one where
Yeah,
it was done by a different studio.
That one was the animation that was so weak. Like I noticed it, and I don't notice that stuff very often.
There was a few episodes near the beginning that were off model, but nothing in the second half was.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything in the second half is immaculate.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they joke that they could never have done a second season of Gurren Lagann because they'd run out of budget in the first episode.
I believe it
Because the show was a exercise in abusing budget.
Isn't this one of the last shows Gainax made?
It's pretty close. Like Panty and Stocking was after that.
Oh, I keep forgetting that Panty and Stocking is Gainax.
Yeah.
Like I lump it together under Trigger.
Yeah, you should, because like everyone that worked on the show moved to Trigger.
That's probably why. But yeah, so I imagine that this was more expensive than Panty and Stocking, though.
Oh yeah, Panty and Stocking looks like a Flash animation half the time.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the style. But
yeah.
This show must have been horrifically expensive to make.
Oh yeah, I've never looked up like if they have any numbers on that, but I know anecdotes about it being ridiculous. Yeah, people joke about Gainax running out of budget. Luckily, this one didn't.
God, I've seen Gainax. What happens when Gainax runs out of budget? One of these days, I need to show you Karakano.
Yeah, I need to show you Gunbuster, especially now, because you'll see all the references.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, I'll just show you the action scenes in Gunbuster, because the rest of the show doesn't matter. And then I'll show you the last episode, because it's hilarious that it's all storyboards. It's storyboards and concept art. Like, some of these
did they run out of budget?
Yeah, some of these aren't even fucking, like, storyboards. They're, like, concept art. They show things that totally aren't in the show.
Oh, shit. Wow. I think Karakano got about that bad, but it's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah.
So we'll compare.
Yeah. So, we're skipping ahead a little bit, but, well, your overall impressions. Let's talk about that. Like,
by the end of the show, it was fucking awesome. It had some ups and downs for me.
Oh yeah.
It started off kind of low, and then it got pretty high, and then, especially when it started getting into the stuff with the Spiral King, that was great. I fucking loved it.
Oh yeah, the Spiral King fight is excellent.
And then it dropped again after, when we started getting into like weird political machinations. And again, if I hadn't have been committed to watching the whole thing, I literally would have dropped it at that point. And then at the end, it just like exponential curve.
Yeah.
Way up. That was fucking amazing.
It just asymptotes vertically.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that where it was going. Like, galaxies don't work like that, but I'm totally okay with it.
Yep. And they work that way because of spiral power.
It has to be.
All the answers are because spiral power.
It
or
has
anti-spiral.
To be. But yeah, no, I really do love this show. I don't know if it's not my favorite, because again, there's a few too many things that are a little problematic for me to count as my favorite.
Yeah.
But it is pretty high up there.
Yeah, I can agree on basically all those points. It is my favorite. It still is my favorite. Watching the dub was great. There was very few things that bothered me more watching it this time. Like, I did see a few more of the strings, but also I saw a lot more of the love in it. Like, I caught a lot more of, like, the little things, and I love the show even more. Yeah. It is confidently my favorite show.
Yeah, there's a lot to appreciate about it.
Yeah.
The fucking animation is beautiful. The show, I mean, overall it has a great story. It has some great characters, a lot of good development. Yeah. Characters that actually have character development. I mean, how often does that really happen? And so yeah, it's a fantastic show that
it's a show that manages
feel comfortable recommending to most people.
It's a show that manages to cram that much character development in, and there's literally a fight every episode. Every single episode.
Yeah, I guess there really wasn't one where there
Yeah,
wasn't
we
a
kept
fight.
looking for one,
Yeah, like
and there
even
wasn't.
even in the Yoko episode where she's off having a normal life.
Yeah, two gunmen show up at the end, and
Yeah,
she shoots them down.
yeah, and so I mean, for a show that is so very high octane, it has so much other stuff going on in it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I feel pretty confident that I would recommend this show to most people if they haven't seen it already. If you haven't seen it already, why haven't you seen it already?
Yeah, it's a show that needs to be watched. Like it will help you understand everything now. It will like
Yeah, it's one of those shows that it is referenced so often in other works that if you haven't seen it, you're missing out.
particularly trigger works.
Oh
Like,
well, yes.
yeah, but like
Some of those are really blatant. Most of them are really blatant. Um, which I think is a good segue into other trigger shows.
yeah. So specifically the Hiroyuki Amaishi stuff, but like yeah, there's a great reference in The Witch Academia to
Which
Gurren Lagann.
I maybe haven't got there yet.
Yeah, it's near the end. It's in the second half.
Okay, yeah, I haven't got there.
It's fantastic. You'll love it.
Yes, yes, I am in the process of watching Little Witch Academia. I have not finished it.
Yeah, like stuff like Kill la Kill, and Space School Luco are really have a lot of the same influences.
Mm-hmm.
You,
Yeah, this followed like almost the exact same track for me that Kill la Kill did.
Yes.
As far as my enjoyment of the show and how into it I was able to get by the end.
Yeah, I will 100% say that Kill la Kill is a better written show.
That's probably true.
I will say it has better. I'll say it has better character designs. I'll say it has better character moments, but I don't like it better as a show because I like big giant mechs and crazy over the top bullshit.
There was a lot of crazy over the top bullshit in Kill la Kill too.
There was, but they didn't throw galaxies at each other.
True. Is that what Kill la Kill was missing?
I mean, maybe. We just you need the life fibers to like wrap up the planet, spin it around at Ryuko, and like.
I still would have enjoyed that. Well, and you know, a Kill la Kill does have something that, to its detriment, that that Gurren Lagann doesn't, and that is a creepy incest scene.
I mean, yeah, but like I will actually defend that creepy incest scene. It sets things up really well.
It does, but it's still creepy and really uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, it's supposed to.
There wasn't anything in Gurren Lagann that literally made me uncomfortable to be sitting there watching it.
Yeah.
And so that in and of itself is a mark in Gurren Lagann's favor between the two. It will never make you uncomfortable.
I mean, it depends how much you hate bad politics.
Fair. But yeah,
that was pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, so I watched Space Patrol Luluco before watching Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
Because it's a much shorter show and it was on.
One of the only shows I own on Blu-ray.
And yeah, so there's a huge, like, just ripped straight out of Gurren Lagann references.
Yeah.
In Luluco that I never caught. I mean, Luluco's mother is Yoko. For all intents and purposes.
Yeah, basically.
And
oh, Luluco.
Yeah, I would have never got that. I mean, I figured it was a reference to something after I picked up on the references to other shows.
Yeah.
Because some of them were pretty fucking blatant, and I think that was the point. But yeah, I actually even caught a what I'm pretty sure is a Gurren Lagann reference in a show that I'm watching this season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's from 2 weeks ago. An episode of Kakurio.
Oh.
Has a moment where Aoi's grandfather is like pictured, and he's pictured as this villain. He's got this cape whipping around, and he's standing in front of the moon, and he's got that pose, like, who the hell do you think I am? and I wouldn't have thought of that before, but now I'm like, maybe? Yeah. Is it? It could be.
Yeah, it's a show that's referenced a lot. It's not like Evangelion levels, but it is especially, like, every trigger work references at least a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything. Keith's never not heavily anywhere, but like
maybe subtly.
Probably. I didn't catch anything, but I'm sure there's something there.
Kisnever's kind of a special case, I think.
Yeah, Kisnever's very different than
it was like
stuff.
it feels so experimental compared to a lot of their other
Yeah.
stuff, which is saying a lot.
The only thing that makes
does.
it a really trigger show is the character designs.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, it feels like a bit more of an experimental work compared to their other stuff, which is saying a lot, given how experimental their work tends to be. It was like their experiment with normal shows.
Yeah, people have talked about it that way too. I'd like to take a second to talk about like some of like the basis shows too. Like, if you really liked Gurren Lagann, I think that you should watch Gunbuster. I don't like Gunbuster. I like the action scenes in Gunbuster. I hate the story. I think that a lot of the moments in it are absolutely abysmal. Yeah, I think that the writing is pretty bad. And that's a Hideki Anno show.
Yeah, well, they can't all be masterpieces.
Yeah. So, but I think that the action scenes in that are some of the best. They really like rival Gurren Lagann in Big Mech style.
Really?
Yeah. I gotta show you Buster Shield. And that, like, I think that that's a show that should be watched. I can't recommend it, but because I haven't seen it, but Get a Robo Conan Guy's big giant robot show is a huge inspiration. Evangelion, of course.
Well, Evangelion is an inspiration for literally every show that came out, even if it doesn't have giant robots in it.
Yeah, and Hiroyuki Yamauchi was keyframing on both Gunbuster and on Evangelion, I believe. He was definitely keyframing on Evangelion. He might have been just regular tween framing on Gunbuster because it's so old. But
yeah, but I mean, so the influences there are pretty straightforward, I think.
Yeah.
Between Evangelion and Gurren Lagann, I mean, it just kind of is.
Mhm.
But like I said, everything that came after Evangelion has been influenced by it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, even if they don't know it. You know.
Oh yeah.
Like just the audience that's been created for anime influences the productivity of shows that do not care about Evangelion at all.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe this isn't really the place or the time to talk about how incredibly influential Evangelion is on literally everything. But maybe that's something we should talk about at some point.
Maybe
in greater length.
Everyone's talked about Evangelion. Like I wouldn't mind putting my 2 cents in, but I'd have to.
I kind of want to wait until the next movie finally comes out.
Yeah, when the Rebuild 3+1 comes out, I definitely.
We'll watch it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that after that happens.
As will literally everyone else.
Yeah, and then we'll do a huge retrospective on Evangelion as a series, probably.
Oh yeah, because it definitely deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a pretty straightforward influence on this show. It has to be.
Yeah, and it's a show that like you can see the stylistic crossover. You can also see where I should definitely want to take the show in a different way. Like he wanted to focus on the giant robots being awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No, not on the horrors of what goes on in a mech.
Yeah, well, it's like what if Shinji got in the robot and enjoyed it?
Yeah. and then Asuka got in the robot and died.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I was actually thinking Asuka would be Yoko.
Yeah, she would.
Asuka would be Yoko.
It's not Rei, obviously, because Rei does die.
Yeah, Nia, I think, is the Rei character, weirdly enough. But
that would make Misato comment on then.
Yeah, that is actually fairly apt, I think, between all of them. And then, so, who's Gendo?
Oh, Largeno.
Yeah, okay, you're right. I don't even know why there was any question.
Yeah, there's obviously the influence. Yeah, like the like leaning over the chair.
Yeah.
Like menacing all the time.
Yeah. Are there any other shows that you want to point out as influencing this one?
Not directly. Like I mentioned Dead Leaves earlier. Like anything that's early in my definitely built up to this because this is his first like breakout directorial show. He had done Dead Leaves before. That was a movie. It was a relatively short movie. Um, I think that's a show everyone should watch, but it's intense.
It's not for everyone,
Definitely not for everyone.
even though everyone should watch it.
Yeah, I think it's something everyone should try. If you turn it off after 20 minutes, I'm okay with that. Just don't talk to me.
Uh,
So we should probably talk about what's next.
yeah, so I think that wraps up me watching Gurren Lagann. I had a great time.
Yeah.
I loved it. I think everyone should see it.
Yeah, so next up, I'll be watching Shirobako.
Yeah. So we both made lists
Yeah.
of shows.
She
that
made a
we,
very large list for me.
of shows that we think the other person needs to watch. Now, the list that I made for him is naturally longer because I've been watching anime for a lot longer than you.
Yeah.
And so I think that a great place for us to start is for you to watch Shirobako, because I think it'll be a great thing for us to talk about because it is all about the production of anime.
Yeah, I think that one will be great. I'm excited for that. And the next up after that, do we want to talk about what we'll probably do then?
As far as what our podcast's going to be, or what's the next thing we're going to watch?
I mean, we're watching Shirobako next, right?
Right.
And then, what's the next show you're watching?
Well, there's a couple of shows. There's one show that I started and haven't finished.
Yeah.
And I actually think we should add Little Witch Academia to my list because I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah, but that's kind of, you're already a good chunk through that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say Ancient Magus Bride, but I'm halfway through that already, too.
Mm-hmm.
So...
I mean, if we wanted to go for culturally relevant again, she also has never seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I just outed you on the internet.
Yes, I've never seen JoJo. I get the references. I see them everywhere. I've never actually watched the damn show.
Yeah.
So maybe that's my next assignment, is to watch JoJo.
Maybe, I think that this might be our last chance to keep Ancient Magus Bride relevant.
True, because it's...
So we'll probably decide then. We'll decide at the end of Shirobako.
Yeah.
But
although
we just
your
wanted to
list
get some
is
hints.
so much longer than mine.
Yeah. I'll just have to watch some anime. I'll watch some really bad anime and make you watch it or something.
Make me watch a bunch of stuff that I wouldn't normally pick up on my own.
Yeah. I mean,
like shows with robots in them.
I'll get Josh on some Get a Robo with me.
Yeah, and then we've got a couple of other topics coming up that we wanted to do shows on.
Yeah, we were talking about the potential of maybe watching Pretty Derby because we panned that show and apparently it's pretty good.
Yeah, so I've been feeling like we should be giving it a second chance.
Yeah.
I'm not really regretting any of the shows that I did pick to watch.
Yeah.
But I do kind of regret not giving it 3 episodes.
Yeah. I almost did. Like, I was really close on that one, but, like, I was watching too much stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm still watching too much stuff to catch up on it. But, you know, at the end of the season, maybe.
Yeah. After it's all out, we might take another look at it. So we'll have, I mean, we're halfway through the season now, so here in a few weeks we'll have the season wrap up.
Yeah. We've got a lot of shows hitting 7, 8 this week, right? So for a few
I think so, for a few of them, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got about 4 weeks for that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Before we can put out our first, like, end of season stuff.
That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. There might only be a couple shows at a time.
Probably, because there's so many varying lengths.
I'll mention here, you know, people probably aren't listening to these every week. I've seen the metrics. But I dropped my plan to watch Legend of the Galactic Heroes because I watched the first episode of the dub and I couldn't get past the main blonde character's voice. It's not bad, it's the main character from Kekai Sensen, and he sounds exactly like him, and it just does not work for me.
Didn't he also do the main character in Karakai Jozu no Takagi-san?
Yeah, he's
Nishikata, which is
weird. Even worse.
Yeah, because he's a 12-year-old boy.
He still sounds like a 12-year-old boy in in his general role. It's weird. Yeah, I'm not gonna continue watching that. I'm sorry.
I might pick it up after the season's over.
Maybe. But we'll be watching other stuff at that point.
Yeah,
so.
because there will be a brand new season with a huge list of stuff to not watch.
Fuck. On that note, I think that's a good night.
Yep, that's it for me. Good night.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.